I play Mackenzie, otherwise known as Mack, and I own the camp. I own Camp Little Otter. It's been in my family for 3 generations, and I've taken over from my father. And I guess she's an incredibly positive, optimistic, slightly naive sometimes. You know, she assumes everything will work its way out, and where there's a will, there's a way, and sometimes she comes unstuck with that. She's recently divorced. Her co-runner of the camp has run off with a Russian hair waxer. So she's also now running the camp by herself. But she's a very warm and funny character who just, tries her best and sees the best in everything. I don't know if there's such thing as a generic camp in America. I think having gone to a few family camps, which Little Otter is, I think every camp has its own sense of place and its own traditions. And my family and I had one of the greatest holidays of our life in a very similar, very rustic, no-cell reception, horse riding, archery, have breakfast with your kids, and then they run off and do all these activities, and you're all sitting around the fire at night in a very beautiful place. So, I guess our camp is characterized by this beautiful lake, the pine trees, and a general kind of really get away from the stresses of modern life. Well, Mack is a real leader. She's a real engine of this place. I guess she is the heart and the soul of Camp Little Otter, but she doesn't kind of lead top down, she leads by kind of example, and I think her kind of can-do attitude and her positivity, is infectious. I think she's a great, listening ear for these young coming-of-age adults that are going through their transitions, romantically and with university and other kind of crises that happen. She's super fun with the children. I think she really wants to make a place where everybody loves it. Everybody who comes here to work as counselors or counselors in training, or the families that keep coming back year after year. She just, I think she really thinks it's her role in life to just make sure people are happy and have a good time. And I've never played anyone like that before, so it's quite a change of gear for me, and I'm really loving it. Mack's been a very hands-on and involved mother, and her son is really at that age where, the transition from tween to teen to, young adult happens really, really quickly, and she's a little bit behind it. I think she's a little, we meet Mack and her son and Buzz at a time when, they're redefining the mother-son relationship, and he's looking for space, and she's trying to keep him safe. And I just think it's a very normal, identifiable, relationship in transition. Shooting an American TV show in Australia is like a dream come true for me, because I've just done 2, very family, I guess, based shows, though this is a real gear change into a much more comedic thing. But I guess I'm very comfortable with, the American system, with the showrunners and, the quality of the writing. And I had just reached a point where I wanted to come home and give my kids, this, I guess, so to be able to do that, and my children were just up here being extras and having the time of their life and being in the most beautiful place in the world. But I get to be paid for it, and I get to play with really talented people who are just committed to having fun. Like, I don't think we could make this show if we're all, depressed and angry. You can really only make a show that wants to give, what we want to give, if you kind of have that in your heart from the moment you get up out of bed in the morning. This is fun. It's that great thing that the problems that we're dealing with are real, that the poop pipes exploded, and, somebody's got poison ivy, and, somebody's escaping to the other camp, and there are all these very physical things that exist in this very physical world, and it's a very physical show. We're always, running and swimming and jumping and, you know, getting into physical trouble, and that's kind of set with all these extras doing kind of crazy stuff. So it's just, it's weird. It's like you don't have to kind of act as much because it really is, you know, all there. I think the concept of camp is very old-fashioned. I think it really does have a kind of Meatballs, Mad Magazine, just that kind of playful silliness that I think, I don't know, we've all become very kind of smart and we don't do that physical stuff as much anymore, but it's definitely, you know, has the kind of contemporary edge of a Modern Family where you can kind of be laughing one second and the moment, you know, you're actually really touched at a relationship moment. I tried watching Modern Family and absolutely laughed my ass off. So I think it's that balance of kind of old-fashioned in its setting and, you know, in its values, but it's certainly, you know, we're not keeping our teenagers away from what real teenagers are doing right now in the world, except the fact that you can't get cell service here. But in terms of, you know, looking at the opposite sex and what they're into and what they're trying to do and what they shouldn't be doing, you know, I think it's very reflective of contemporary values, but I think it does have an element of nostalgia. I think nothing truly bad happens at Camp Little Otter.